Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Glad you guys are here. This is going to be the first of possibly many, possibly none videos that I'm going to be doing going over specific BRs, because now in Enlisted, your battle rating actually does matter. You don't just play at 2 and 5 to have the best results. Now we can play at battle rating 1 and only go up 1 BR. So I wanted to do kind of this thing of, what is the best setup for each BR for each faction? So if you guys enjoy this and you guys like this kind of style of video, let me know in the comments below. Like the video, subscribe, yada, yada, yada. That all helps me out and I do appreciate it. But let's jump into the actual video itself. So we're going to start off with Germany here. I think a lot of new players start with Germany, so it seemed to me like the best place to begin. And for BR1, I'm going to be setting this up as if I was just a new player rather than like an experienced player that has everything maxed out. Because if you have everything maxed out, I'm sure you can kind of figure it out to begin with just based off the guns here. So we are pretty limited in what we have available to us in the research tree. We don't get radio operators or machine gunners until tier 2. A lot of the better tanks and things like that for Germany don't pop up like the Puma until, again, BR2. So we are kind of stuck with just the absolute basics, which is fine. Germany actually has some pretty solid equipment in BR1. So what I came up with here was number one, a medic squad. This is pretty straightforward and obvious. We're going to want that firepower that comes with these SMGs. And I think the best SMG that we have access to is actually the MP34O. And this is for a couple reasons. Number one, it has the highest magazine capacity. And at low BR, that's really, really important. Because a lot of these guns at low BR have just 20 rounds in the magazine, like the MP28. The drilling, obviously, is a shotgun. And the Beretta M38A also only has 20 rounds in the magazine. So the MP34 is a clear winner here, with it just having similar damage output, a hit power 5.7 for the MP28 and the M38A, as well as just having good fire rate. Like, these do fire faster than the MP34, but at this point in the game, you're probably not going to have a lot of, perk setups for your soldiers to have that reduced recoil. So having really high fire rate might be hard to control. And again, I really just value magazine capacity so high in Enlisted, and that is doubly true at low BRs, where there's not going to be a lot of people that are going to be like squad wiping and things like that. So the extra magazine capacity is going to play a major role in being able to just wipe people out, because they just have bolt actions, right? So keeping that uptime with the higher magazine capacity, very, very important, very huge. It's not necessarily wrong to bring an M30 drilling. I think that that's like fine, or even a Beretta M38A. I think the only weapon here that is like not something you should be using is the MP28. I think you want to upgrade off of this as soon as possible to either the MP34 or the Beretta M38. So pretty straightforward with the medic squad. You want to get these guys leveled up. They're your kind of mainline assaulter squad until you unlock actual assaulters, which are going to take a while to actually level up. Medics are also great because they get +2 vitality, which means you don't ever have to worry about re-rolling them. You can always get your vitality perks first try on every single medic. So you can always come here and get your +35% vitality, which everyone should do. You also should not have horizontal. You should definitely have vertical recoil. I don't know why that guy's incorrect there. Is this guy right? Yeah, should look more like this. You should, your mobility perks don't matter a whole lot, but your vitality is going to be on vitality perk and reduced vertical recoil. So there you go. That's our medic squad. They're going to be our heavy lifters, very assault style medics, combat medics, pretty straightforward. Next up, there's kind of, let's talk about engineers next, because this is going to be our other guaranteed squad. Engineers, I hope I don't have to explain too much why engineers are going to be important in your lineup. Engineers are engineers. They build for you. They build rally points. They build, fortifications, AT guns, AA guns, all that good stuff. They're incredibly efficient when it comes to silver cost, because they just take a cheap $500 rifle. You can give them grenades because they can build AT guns. You don't got to worry about explosive packs or anything like that. And then they have great perk points coming in, again, with +2 vitality, making it very easy to get your nice 35% vitality perk down here. Easy peasy, very straightforward with engineers. The thing that I'm going to note here is that I did not choose to put an AT gunner into the squad. The reason for this is because I think that you can build AT guns very quickly if you're using your engineers correctly. This is kind of a sticking point. I don't think that it's wrong by any means to put an anti-tank soldier into this squad. The reason that I'm not doing it is because I think that the anti-tank weapons for Germany at low BR are just so poor that it's kind of just not worth using, in my opinion. Like, it's just not worth bringing it, right? Like, it's better to just build an anti-tank gun and have that extra engineer. For their rifles, we're using the Kar 98K. I think this is the best rifle at low BR. You can make an argument for the Carcano Mod 38. I think that's fair, but they kind of just come off similarly, and the Kar 98 has slightly higher damage. The VZ24 is also a good contender here, but it has lower rate of fire, albeit just by 3, right? So it's not a huge difference, and the VZ does have higher hit power, and they cost the same. So, you know, it's kind of a toss-up. I just kind of am going with the Kar 98K because it's a Kar 98. It's iconic, right? I mean, I think a lot of players are going to agree with that. The VZ24, I mean, did you even know this gun existed before you played Enlisted? Probably not. Maybe you did because you watched a Gun Jesus video. That's fine. But I think a lot of people will agree Kar 98K, very iconic gun. People are going to want to use that. Now, for our final slot here, because we're going off as if people were free to play, not premium. Our final slot, there's 2 schools of thought here. Number 1, you can bring a sniper squad. I think snipers are pretty solid, especially at low BR. It gives you some range magnification. You can kind of play them as kind of semi-scout aggressive squads. You do need to be aggressive with them. You cannot sit in the back and snipe from 20 miles away. That is not effective in Enlisted. You do need to be pushing the objectives, hunting rally points, scouting for your team, and things like that. But if you're doing that correctly, this squad can be very effective, especially when an assaulter is in the squad. You can kind of scout with the snipers, find a rally point or a concentration of enemies, and then gun them down with your assaulter or your engineer. Very effective when you do that. This should be an engineer 1, by the way, but that's fine. So snipers, solid squad, Kar 98K with scope mount, solid. Easy to see why you might bring those. The other thing, though, is bringing an anti-tank squad. And the reason for that is because there is a very big lacking of anti-tank weapons in these lineups. You can see there's only 1 slot for an anti-tank soldier, and it's in the engineer squad, and I didn't even choose to bring it, like I mentioned. So, you know, it's kind of a tough thing here. The anti-tank weapons for the Germans, the PZB-38 and the PZB-39, are just such weak weapons. They only have 35 armor pen, and against most early allied tanks, that's just not going to do anything. It's not going to hurt a Stuart. It's barely going to go through the side, and that's only at point blank. Scott is on the same chassis, so very same thing. It'll hurt a Daimler, but you're not going to see that many of these. Like, most of the time what you're going to be seeing is Stuarts, and Stuarts aren't going to get pinned by the PZB. They're just not, right? You can take out like these vehicles, but even these really not. I mean, 25 millimeters, and it's slightly sloped, so it's really just not that effective of a weapon, generally speaking. The Soviets are a little bit better, but the T-60, again, you got to get around the side of it. T-26 you can pin from the front. BT-7 you can pin from the front, but T-70, again, you got to get around the side of it to be able to be really effective. And at that point, you know, if you're able to really do that and you're close enough, you can just use an explosive pack and do the same job. So, yeah, the PZB exists, and yeah, you can bring an anti-tank squad if you really feel like you like the PZB-38, but in my opinion, it's just a really weak anti-tank weapon. It's really not that strong, and personally, I think you could probably get a lot more done with a sniper squad utilizing good marks, or an engineer squad utilizing the anti-tank buildable rather than bringing an anti-tank squad with these anti-tank guns. So now as for our vehicle, we have again 2 choices here. We can, if you are a plane player and you want to bring a plane, the IAR-81C is an obvious choice. The fact that this thing is still BR1 is absolutely mind-boggling. This is genuinely one of the best planes in all of Enlisted. I think this thing could be BR3, and I still think it would be incredibly strong. So very, very clear winner, the IAR 81 here at the end. You have a 250 kg bomb, a pair of 50s on the side. You can nuke tanks with the 20 millimeter cannons. You can strafe infantry. You can take on any plane in the air. Easy peasy. No one can touch you. You will be the king of the air in the IAR 81. If you're more of a tank player, the Semovente 7532 M41 is a great tank. It only has, I believe, AP shells, but it does have pretty good splash on those AP shells. This thing can be pretty strong. It's got decent frontal armor, not amazing, but decent. It can take on most vehicles in the game, short of like a Sherman or something like that. Even then, you can pin those in the turret. So it's a solid little vehicle. It really is. Your other choice is the Panzer IIIJ, which I think is a fine choice if you want that turret. It's a little bit more armored in the hull and on the turret, but it has a worse gun, kind of. And it also does have that coaxial machine gun that the Semavente lacks. So, you know, it's kind of a toss-up. I like the Semavente a lot, and maybe I'm just a little biased here. I think probably the Panzer IIIJ, now that I'm looking at them and trying to be a little bit more objective, I'd probably say the Panzer IIIJ is a little bit better. But I really like this thing. I think this thing's a fun little tank, and it's just fun. It's a fun little guy to use. So I would say, you know, either one of these or the Semavente are perfectly reasonable. And that's it. That's my BR1 guide. That's the lineup that I think is the best thing to be using at BR1, at least if you are a BR1 player and you're using exclusively BR1 equipment. Again, if you're a higher level player and you have access to assault squads, radio operators, and things like that, APCs, you can, you know, outfit your squads with those and bring those as well into BR1 outfitted with just low tier weapons. Actually, you can't do that. You can't do that with the APC, but you can do that with like radio operator squads and things like that. So, yeah, again, guys, that's it. Let me know if you guys like this style of video, if you guys like these kind of deep dives into BR1 for the different factions, and we can do these for each BR. Let me know in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on the video, the type of video, and as well as what I came up with for Axis BR1. I'd love to hear those thoughts down below. Like and subscribe, yada, yada, yada. And without anything else, I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.